Right, thank you.
All right, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay.
I've got this thing in my mouth and I'm not taking it out for a minute. It's a ginger chew from the health department. So it's good. Good for the stomach, good for digestion. Just anyway, great to be here.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, great. Well, what a crowd here.
I know, right?
Crazy.
It's pretty exciting.
I see a bowler hat and somebody's come dressed as a droog. Have you got the codpiece, darling? No.
She does.
Yeah. All right, you're forgiven. Oh my God. Looks like a withering peanut.
Okay, sir, before we start talking about, Clockwork Orange and such, I want to talk to you about my favorite thing you've ever done.
Oh yeah? What's that?
The Company.
Ah.
I love The Company so very much. As a dancer, it still is one of my favorite movies. Can you tell us about how that happened?
I can, yes. Well, I was doing a retrospective of my work at Lincoln Center in New York. I think they were showing a movie that I did called Gangster Number One. I looked out at the Q&A, and there in the audience is Mr. Robert Altman, who was a dear friend of mine. I'd known him years and years ago. I met him in 1970 when I first met Bob, and we used to party together in those days. I see there are children present, so it'll be abbreviated, but just to know that Bob loved to smoke occasionally, and one had a contact high. Well, what can one say? Anyway, what a great guy and a brilliant director. Anyway, he came that night and he said to me afterwards, we went to dinner, and he said, I'm doing a movie about dance. I went, oh yeah? He goes, can you dance? I went, of course not. He goes, well, you don't have to. And then he told me it was Neve Campbell was a ballet dancer, and it was her idea to do this movie about the Joffrey Ballet, which are in Chicago, of course. And so 2 weeks later, I get a call, and he goes, Bob. I went, yeah? And he goes, listen, the dance picture's off. I got to do this favor to Paul Newman. And Paul wants to do this movie with Harvey Weinstein. Well, okay, fine, well, whatever. 3 months later, I get a call back. The picture's back on. Which picture? The dance picture. Oh yeah, okay. Well, what happened? He went, I couldn't work with Harvey. What an asshole. Okay. That's how it started. Wow. We all came to Chicago, and I had to shadow Jerry Arpino, who was the artistic director of the Joffrey Ballet. What a great guy. I mean, he's, I think, of course, gone now. He's pretty old then. But I had a week with him, and it was one of the most formative, marvelous weeks. And I'm in awe of ballet dancers. They're like Olympic, athletes to me, with artistic overtones. And I just love being around the thing. And he said, Malcolm, you are now the artistic director for the week. Carry on. So I'd have discussions about budgets, and I was going, is that right? He goes, you decide. I went, yeah, let's do it. Let's do that ballet, why not? And all this, and it was so much fun. Anyway, of course, it was a movie about dance and the love of dancers. And that's all it was.
It was almost like a documentary. It felt like a doc. Like it felt like you could put a camera in a room and you were just watching it unfold.
It was one of the first times they used, digital cameras. So it wasn't 35 millimeter film. And the reason being why Bob wanted to do it digitally was that the dance sequences were like 20 minutes or something. And he couldn't have them do take 2. You dance it, that's it. And so that's what happened. And, they could do the dance all the way through, and it was just magical. And I'll give you just a little insight into how Bob Altman worked. we're talking about one of the greatest American directors of all time. And if you wanted to know what America was like in that particular time period, go watch Altman movies, because the man was a genius. So I had a scene in my office where Neve Campbell comes in and she wants to dance a particular dance. And I, without actually saying no, don't want her to. But, you know, he has to be nice to everyone, and he finds it impossible to say no. So she comes in, and so Bob comes in, he saw the rehearsal, and he's next door with the cans on looking at a screen. And he came in, he goes, Malcolm, you know, it's kind of boring, so, okay, this is what happens. She comes in, you get up, you go to that door, open the door, and say, hey, somebody make me a cup of tea. And then you come back to your desk, she comes at you again, you go, hey, well, hold that thought. Go to that door and tell them to shut up, they're making too much noise. I went, okay. And then come back here, and then she'll say, you know, she'll go at you again and go, wait a minute though. Oh, I have an appointment. What time? Is it my appointment? Right. Yeah. And get the hell out of there. And I went, oh, okay. Well, what about the scene? He goes, that is the scene. Okay. And that's what it was. And he was just a total genius at that. Helen Mirren told me when they were doing Gosford Park, they had a scene down a long corridor with Derek Jacobi, right? And Bob listened to it on the cans. He came and he goes, that's pretty boring. Okay, listen, this is what you do. You're walking down there and he's chasing a dog. And this dog, and it's a narrow passageway, and the dog causes all kinds of a kerfuffle. And, you know, and just keep going with the dog, just keep going, and then just keep walking and walk out of shot. And that was the scene, and all you see is this dog, and you don't listen to anything about the damn dialogue, which is not that important anyway.
And you mentioned, of course, it was produced and starred our Scream Queen, Neve Campbell, who
Yeah.
was a former ballerina.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, she was a dancer, but you know, there's a big difference between a dancer and then stopping for a while and then coming back. It's like, you know, you run marathons and then suddenly you take a couple of years off.
Yeah.
So, but Neve did brilliantly well. I mean, listen, you know, they didn't show any of the glaring errors. You know, listen, she's a beautiful dancer, and more importantly, she put the package together. And so Neve is not just a pretty girl, she was a damn good producer. Yeah. And Bob adored her, as we all did. We all really, and we're still friends.
Aw, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
Do we have any audience questions? Aha. Oh.
Outside of your own body of work, who do you think gave the greatest performance of all time?
There's no such thing as the greatest performance of all time. And you know, there are great performances, of course, but to say the greatest of all time, I mean, it's like, you know, acting is not a competition, okay? These awards are bullshit, and these awards are to make money. It's to make money. Don't ever forget that. Are you telling me that one performance this year against another, how the hell can you tell which is the best one? Okay, the guy in Oppenheimer's on the screen for 3.5 bloody hours, and it felt like it, by the way. And he's great. But is he any better than what's his name who did the holdovers? I don't think so. And by the way, how can you judge one against the other? They're totally different movies. So it's just a stupid game that Hollywood loves to play so they can make, you know, the green. That's it. As long as you know that and you're not disappointed, then you're fine. And you're, what is the...
I was just wondering if you had a favorite. Who was your favorite? Did you have
Who's my favorite actor? I have a favorite actor.
Who was your favorite? Who did you look up to?
You know, one of my favorite films in the last 35 years is Fargo. You want to see the perfect movie? Go watch Fargo.
So good.
That to me is the best American movie made. I don't know about any of mine. I don't think so. I can't think of any. I've got favorites that I did, but that's usually because I like the director or the other actors or whatever, you know. I do love, you know, from the early films, Jimmy Cagney. I love his energy and I love the way he uses film. You know, film, or movies as we call them, are about movement. And I love to see actors move. And when they move really well, you know, it sort of enhances a performance and tells you instantly about this character. And it's fun working in movement into a performance. So yeah, James Cagney, for sure.
I liked your character on Community, one of my favorite sitcoms. What was it like working with the Community cast?
I don't remember anything about it. They were nice guys. Well, actually, it was quite funny because when I did it because my manager pressurized me to do the damn thing because it was the same studio as Franklin and Batch. And they wanted a kind of crossover talent kind of deal. So Community, I didn't even know what it was, and I'd never watched it. So I read the script. I went, oh, okay. And it was a two-parter. I went and did the first thing, and all I remember is I was playing a teacher, wasn't I? And I couldn't remember this bloody name of this Russian guy. I kept flubbing it a bit, and what's his name? The jerk from Saturday Night Live. What was his name? Chevy. Dear old Chevy. Chevy goes, if you don't mind, it's and I said, Chevy, you look after your shit. So that was my dialogue with him. And I know they loved it because they all went. So I felt there was some tension there, but I didn't really know what it was. I left. I then got a detached retina in my eye and couldn't shoot. So when I came back, suddenly I was wearing dark glasses because of the retina, and I didn't even think I'd be able to do it, but I did it. And the first thing I said was, "Where's Chevy?" And they went, "Oh, Joel said." I mean, they kicked him off, so they got rid of him. That's the only thing I remember about it, but they were lovely cast. And are they making a movie of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Good,
wow.
good.
Very nice.
Good. Why is that? Because none of them could find work after that, right? Is that it? Except Joel McHale's incredible.
Oh my God, genius.
He's a lovely man and a brilliant actor. Yeah,
So funny.
yeah, he is. Okay, good.
Purple shirt. Yeah.
I know we kind of talked a little bit about this at your table, but you've been a part of a lot of amazing franchises like Halloween, Star Trek, and DC. Are there any other potential franchises that you'd like to get into? Because I know you said you weren't that interested, but I always thought you would have been a great doctor on Doctor Who.
In what?
Great doctor on Doctor Who.
You said this right
Yeah, I
now.
did.
Doctor Who? Doctor Who? Are you kidding me? When I was a young actor, Doctor Who, you would run away from it. It was a piece of crap for kids. It was on the BBC with cardboard sets and really third-rate actors. John Pertwee being one of them. No, I didn't want to be in Doctor, you know. And do I want to be in it now? No, I don't. I would do anything not to be in it. Wild horses wouldn't drag me into that character. But if my agent tells me, hey, Doctor Who called, and they're offering you this amount of money, I'd say, great, when do I start?
Yes.
So I think.
Shout it out!
Loud.
So in the behind the scenes of the making of Valentine's Halloween, I think you mentioned that you've never seen the original before.
Never what?
You've never seen the original Halloween?
No, I haven't seen it.
Have you seen it since then?
No.
No?
No, I haven't. Why? Do you want to show it to me? You'd have to do what I did in Clockwork Orange with the lid locks. That's the only way I'm going to see Halloween, okay? In fact, my wife, we went to Halloween 2. I think she lasted 3 minutes. And it was like, you going already? I think, well, oh my God, keep a low profile. It looks bad. You know?
Does she
Yeah.
not like horror? Or
No,
she just
no,
don't like
she doesn't
the
like
film?
horror. I'm not into horror myself that much. I like some of it. You know, I like more psychological horror like Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist. The Exorcist, that's a great horror movie.
Oh, those were both based on great books, too.
Yeah, well, hey,
So, I
there you
mean,
are.
it had really good source material.
Yeah, yeah. At the moment, I'm shooting a vampire movie in London about Lord Byron.
Oh, wow.
It's a really cool script called Vampire, Blood and something. I can't remember a damn thing anymore. Anyway, it's about Lord Byron, and I'm this vampire who's 250 years old. And it was kind of cool. I've done half of it. I go back in, I think I go back in May and shoot the rest of it. But it is cool, you know, getting the makeup. It's not a lot of makeup. You know, it's not the usual, you know, stuff. So it just kind of applied. And in the beautiful, you know, Victorian things with the top hats and all that. But it was really weird because I had to turn into the scene. And what came out of my voice was a kind of sound which I've never heard before. And it shook me a bit. I thought, wow, I'm thinking to myself, where the hell did that come from? And it was one of those that just found it on the moment. And anyway, I'm really enjoying doing it. And I go back in May and finish it. Blood and Ink.
Blood and Ink.
Vampire with a Y. Blood and Ink. Really
You know, segueing from that, next to the company, my second favorite thing you've ever done is your episode of Tales from the Crypt, the episode titled The Reluctant Vampire.
Wow. Well, thank you. I'll take any crumb I can get.
It is fun.
Yes, I don't
It's
remember
fun.
much about it. It was only a week's work.
Right.
I just remember playing a vampire, and I thought it was rather clever, who works in a blood bank.
Yes.
So,
George Wendt was in it.
I love George
Right.
Wendt.
And a bunch of other great
Oh,
cast
yeah,
members.
it's great.
Michael Berryman was in it.
Who?
Michael Berryman.
Oh, was he?
Yes, he was
okay,
in it.
great. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, well, there you are. You learn something every day. I haven't seen it since, honestly.
Since 1990 when it came out.
I don't even think I saw it then. Was it good?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, okay, great.
It has a lot of comedy in it.
You know, I think most actors, or at least from my generation, from where I'm from, i.e. from England, that we're trained on the stage.
Yes.
That's where we start our careers. Because the West End of London is, you know, the epicenter of great theatre, or used to be. I think it still is. And so if you're leaving a drama school, the whole idea is you work on stage. And you know, the British film industry is pretty small, and it's unlikely that you're going to be starring in a movie. Well, I got lucky, and I was very lucky and worked with a great, great director, and just by chance walked into an audition, and for once I must have done it okay, because I was sucked at auditions. I could talk the hind legs off a donkey, but auditions, for some reason, I found it very hard to get into character. So And I found the whole thing so false, reading and trying to act it on the page and blah, blah. Anyway, so when I met Lindsay Anderson, he was who directed my first movie, If. And so we just chatted, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm at the Royal Court Theatre, and we're doing a modern dress version of Twelfth Night." And he went, "Really? It sounds awful." Well, not really awful. I mean, every young actor wants to work at the Royal Court. I'm so privileged to be working there. And he said, "Yes, well, it's blah, blah, blah." And he went on for a big, long talk, gossiping about all the people at the Royal Court. And in the end, of course, I'm saying, "You're right, Lindsay. It's so pretentious. This whole thing, I don't even know. I know where I come on, my entrance, but they haven't told me my exit yet. And we're opening next week." He goes, "Typical." So went into this thing. Then there was a little pause in the conversation. And I'd forgotten why I was there, And he said, "You do realize, of course, Malcolm, that I am a director of the Royal Court." I went, "What?" "Well, no, I didn't know that. Oh, well, I suppose I'm not going to get this job then, am I?" And he said, "Not necessarily." And that was the beginning of my great journey into cinema with him. And thank God, I picked the best one for the first. He actually said when we finished shooting, "Well, Malcolm, your career is going to be all downhill from here on in." He said, "You'll never make a better film than this." And in a way, he was right.
Do you have any really special, specific memories from that film?
Yeah, every single thing about it. It was just very exciting to be, working on this movie about a revolution in a boys' school. And so, I was actually 24 or something, or 23, playing a 16-year-old. Well, that's how young I looked. I mean, it was ridiculous. And, we went and shot in this beautiful school called Cheltenham College, which was the school that Lindsay Anderson had been to. And, at the end of the movie, there's a big, in fantasy, a kind of shootout with the boys with machine guns on the roof, and at Parents' Day. And I remember this, and I said to Lindsay, "How did you get the headmaster to agree this?" They had tanks and stuff like that, all in the boys' imagination. And he said, "Well, I gave him a fake script." Jesus, wow, okay. And so 9 months later, when Lindsay called me up and he said, "Look, the headmaster is coming to see the film. He's demanded to see it." And I went, "Oh my God." So the guy came to see the movie, and I said, what did he say, Lindsay?" He said, "He didn't say anything to me because, of course, I wasn't there. But he sent me a letter, which, feeling it, was quite long. I could tell it was rather fat. In the envelope, he said, and I put it on my mantelpiece, and it's never been opened. And for 10 years, it was on his mantelpiece, and it was never opened. Because as a joke, I'd say, "Come on, I'm going to open it." He'd put it down. "Don't you dare." I mean, he was freaked out because, he betrayed his school. And in England, it's almost unheard of. The public school is where gentlemen send their boys to be gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Ha ha. Yeah, well, we know how that goes.
What was your favorite memory of working on Star Trek Generations?
I really enjoyed that movie. I really did. I turned it down a couple of times because they offered pittance in pay. And I'm going, they think I'm a charity? They're paying old Tubbs over there. He's getting paid. So sorry, I'm the head heavy here.
Right.
Got to be something. So I made them kind of pay me a decent wage. In the end, they did. I remember going into the fitting for the costume. And I'm going, yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, okay, I like this black, you know. And I looked up and I said, what is this? They went, oh, that's Patrick's muscle suit. I went, really? You mean they're not his muscles? It's all sewn into the suit. I said, that's what I want. And that's what I got. I went, how's your muscle suit, Pat? You go, what? I said, I know all about it. I've got one too. So I had a ball. It was so much fun working with those two. I mean, Shatner. God, you know, you've got to laugh. I mean, Jesus, if you weren't laughing, you'd be crying. I mean, he's hilarious. I don't think he knows half the time how hilarious he is. But you know, I have to tip my hat to the man because he's done remarkable things. You know, when he's supposed to be drawing his old age pension, he's an astronaut. He's starring in all these damn things. He's 93 and he's still working. Come on, you gotta hand it to him.
Oh, absolutely.
That's pretty cool. He's a really cool guy. I had fun with him. One of my endearing moments, read him. He said, you want to go see the Rolling Stones? Because they were on in Vegas. We were staying in Vegas. I went, yeah, of course, yeah. He goes, Berman's got his tickets. I went, great. You know, Berman, the great Berman, right? So that we get there, the tickets are... I'm going, wow, you got some real pull here. I said, is that the Rolling Stones down there? I can't even see. They look like ants to me. That son of a bitch, what a cheat. And even in the tickets, cheap. Anyway, it was hilarious. So we go down, sort of at the back of the arena, and we're waiting for a service elevator, and suddenly these fans see Bill and come running down, and he goes, quick, get in the elevator. I get in the elevator, and he's like this, kicking the fans out of the elevator. Push them up. And I went, wow, I love the way you treat your fans. This is so good. And that's Bill. That's Bill.
Do you have any funny stories about working at Caligula?
Caligula.
Caligula.
Stories about Caligula.
Well, there are a lot of stories about Caligula, of course. I don't even know where to begin. Suffice, I will say this. There was a guy recently, 3 years ago, in Czechoslovakia, who was this computer nerd. And he goes on the computer or whatever, and he wants to find out through the algorithms, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, about what makes the most money on the internet. Answer, porn. I thought it was free, but apparently not. He goes in and he finds out that Penthouse is for sale in a fire sale, buys it because they've got some videos or whatever. He comes back and they say, what are you going to do about all these boxes that are in storage in the valley in LA? He goes, well, I have no idea. Send somebody down there. They find it's all the negative from the movie Caligula. He sends this cinema historian who goes down there, Thomas McDowell, who actually is from Chicago. Thomas goes in and works for 3 years, transfers all the negative, and recuts the movie, not using one single take from the original Guccione movie. And redoes the music, and You know, I hate the Good Journey movie. I refuse to talk about it. I tell people, don't go and see it, it's crap. It's just added porn, it's horrible. Which it is. And so he tried to get me to, initially, to go to the Cannes Film Festival with this new cut. But I didn't quite understand. I thought they'd just recut, you know, the Guccione thing, and I passed. Anyway, eventually he got me a copy of the movie, and I sat on my bed in Canada where I was shooting another show, and I watched it, and I couldn't believe that there I'm watching the movie that we made 47 years ago. And it's going to come out, I believe, in August. It's called Caligula, the Ultimate Cut. But it's completely new. There's not one frame from the original Guccione.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And can you imagine, I don't think it's ever happened in the history of film, that a movie has emerged 47 years later. My performance and Helen Mirren and everyone in it, although it's just Helen and I, because Helen Mirren's performance in the original Guccione thing was 17 minutes. In the new version, it's an hour. So, and it's really fantastic. We had a screening in LA, in Santa Monica, and the audience went nuts. They loved it. And I was really kind of excited to see it. So if you do get a chance, go see it, because it's kind of cool. There's some similarities, you know, some scenes, which of course was the script, it's pretty much as is, but a lot of it is new, and it's great. So, one funny story. Do we have time for that? I think I've told it before.
We have plenty of time.
Okay, so we're going to start night shooting, and the night shooting, I'm working with O'Toole, and he's playing Tiberius, the emperor Tiberius that Caligula took over from. And he was a real whack job, this guy, Tiberius. He lived in Capri. He had, you know, a grotto there with all sexual perversions and the whole deal. This is fact, by the way. This is fact. This is a good story for this one here. Hands on ears. I'm trying to keep the language clean and sophisticated. But anyway, so the punchline is not, however. So, so the scene is Caligula going down, cap in hand, as this sycophant, this brown-noser, to the emperor. And there he is. He's sort of on his last legs, sort of dying. He's emaciated. He's got sores all over his face, syphilis or whatever. And Caligula goes down. So this is the night shoot. We arrive on set, which we haven't seen. It's a 3-acre set. We don't know what it is going on. Our, you know, trailers are parked there. We're in the trailers. So the producer asked me if I'd go in and go through Peter's lines with him. And I said, sure, I'll go. Yeah, if he wants me to. He goes, yes, he does. So I go into the trailer, and it's full of clouds of smoke. Didn't smell like cigarettes. And he was smoking it, chain smoking, with of course, a nice cigarette holder. Very sophisticated. And so on contact, I was feeling pretty good. That started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We finally get the call to go on set at 4 o'clock in the morning. We haven't been, we don't know what's going on. Well, they have been placing like 300 extras in every single sexual perversion that the mind can think of. So when we go, we are literally gobsmacked because we haven't seen anything, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. I thought there'd be a couple of extras, maybe, you know, getting it on or something. Oh no! So we start, and he goes, "We have to hurry because the light's coming up." And Peter's like, right. So he's completely ripped. I've got hold of him by the dress that he was wearing, cloak, and I'm kind of trying to get him to his marks, and he's going, Rome was but a Jesus. Oh, wow. What? Gee. Is that a dildo? Jesus. And there's a couple of guys swinging on a huge penis up there. And I went with him, we're rolling, Rome! He goes, oh my God, they're midgets! Jesus, there's midgets over it. And then, oh wow, are they disfigured? I went, lepers, I think they're lepers! Rome was but a Jesus! No, what is that? Well, we couldn't be, I mean, it was hysterical. One thing was worse than the other.
Oh my goodness.
And the whole point of the scene was Tiberius stops at the sentry and he says, Caligula, do you think this man is drunk? And I go, yes, Your Honor. He goes, give him more wine! And they shove a funnel in his mouth and pour these skins of wine in his throat while we go on the walk on the whole set and come back. And at the very end, it's getting like light now. He's supposed to say, Caligula, do you think this man is drunk? And I say, yes, my lord, this man appears to be drunk. And he goes, sword! And literally, I get the sword in his hand, he's weaving around like he's in the wind. And so underneath this breastplate, they've put like a beach ball, right? It's like this rubber sort of whatever. And in this bladder is chicken gizzards and red wine. And he's supposed to stab it with the thing, and it's all gonna fall down, and that's his entrails, right? So, until sword, I give him the sword. He goes up to the guys looking under, it makes it so obvious. Boom, like this, the breastplate slams up against, hits the guy in the face, and this bladder thing goes boom, 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 boom. There's 400 people going, and Till looks up at me and he goes, I think she's dropped her fucking handbag. Scene was over. Hilarious. I mean, even the Italians who didn't speak English laughed at that. Isn't that great? Dear Pisa, what a man.
Do we have any other audience questions that can top that? No?
Oh yes. You have like 15 minutes.
So I have a couple of questions.
A couple?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of them being, what did you do to prepare for the role of Alex in Clockwork Orange? And the other one, like you have played a lot of very iconic characters. Which one would you say is your best? Or is your favorite, I should say?
When people ask me what's my favorite character, I answer, which is true, is the next one. I don't look back, you know. Of course, I look at my table and I think, Jesus, there's 60 years worth. But really, you can't look back. If you're still working, which I am, I've got a couple of movies coming out. I've got one which is iconic, which I'm going to make next year. And I'm still doing a TV show and maybe another one. So it's all go. I don't think I've ever worked so hard. Jesus, you know, I'm getting up there. I don't need it, but I love it. I love working. It's hard to say, though, which is my favorite, really. I mean, because they're so different, and you're so in the life of a character. But not only the life of the character, but everybody around you. It's a family. It's somewhere safe where you can go to work and make an idiot of yourself. Because great actors make absolute idiots of themselves. And I learned that a long time ago working with great actors like Laurence Olivier and John Gielgud. John Gielgud, who, he was working into his 90s. He used to call his agent and say, anything for me. Okay, John, we don't have that many scripts coming across the desk for a 90-year-old. He goes, well, I could use the money. And, which of course he could. He was very extravagant. He came to me and said, I've been told by my accountants that I have to pull in, but I don't think there's anywhere I can possibly. I went, well, what about your chauffeur-driven roles? Oh, I couldn't possibly get rid of that. I mean, I can't go on the train. I went, no, I suppose not. What about that beautiful Queen Anne house and, grounds? Oh, yes, I mean, no, but I live there. I mean, I can't rent rooms. I went, no. Well, by Act of Parliament, they should give you a pension for all the pleasure that you've given people over the years. And, it's true that these great stage actors were never really wealthy. Olivier had to go out and do these, weird German Jews in the latter part of his career to just make money so he could leave some for his children. Because working in the theater, it's 500 a week or whatever it was, or 1,000 a week. Well, my God, with Laurence Olivier, that was a bar bill. But they were titans. They were just incredible people to be around, to have known, and to have worked with. And how lucky was I to work with 3 of the greatest actors that ever lived, those 3 that I mentioned, Olivier, Gielgud, and Richardson. And they all came at the same time. Now, normally you'd get, maybe 1 great actor in 50 years, but there were 3 right there in that particular time. And they were kind of all friends, really, and acquaintances. And John Gielgud was very, very generous about Olivier, He always thought that, he's a far better actor than I am, and the way he moved. I went, John, but I only heard the voice. I said, yeah, but what a voice. He was I loved him, a great guy.
So one final wrap-up question before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Your filmography is about a gazillion miles long. Is there maybe a lesser-known project that you really enjoyed that maybe you want to bring more attention to? Tell us about. Give us homework to watch.
Well, there's a couple of movies I made in Russia which I love, which are really cool. One is called Assassin of the Tsar. Now that was a Russian movie with Russian actors and a Russian director. And I was one of the very first actors to go over there from the West to actually do a Russian movie. In fact, I don't think there's been another one.
Right.
And so what happened is that they sent a script that was a bit English as a second language script. It was a little bit weird, but I found it really interesting. My agent kept saying, oh, darling, they can't afford to pay you. I mean, do you really want to go to the Soviet Union, as it was then, in 1990? And I went, yes, I do, actually. I'd love to go and see what it's all about. I mean, unless you actually go yourself, you don't know. And anyway, I was doing a film in Geneva, in Switzerland, and I come into the hotel, and the concierge said, the Russian delegation is upstairs. So I went, really? Okay, great. And there they were. And I just said, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And they said, we've got some dollars, not a few, but we've got somebody who was, I don't know, in computers and given them some money to pay me and stuff. So, and I said, and they said, but would you like something else? And I went, 3 paintings. How about 3 paintings? They went, fine, of your choice. Well, I thought, these Russian painters are really cool. I love some of their stuff. But when I got there, I found out that they'd all emigrated to Israel. There's no painters there at all by the time I got there, except house painters. Anyway, it's a fantastic film, Assassin of the Tsar. And I also loved a movie I did in Kiev, or Kiev as we used to call it, which was supposed to be the Soviet Union. This is about a serial killer, and it was called Ivalenko. And I think it's a really amazing movie, and it was written by a friend of mine and directed by him. And it's basically about this psychopath who, on the fall of communism, which happened overnight, 1 minute they were communist, and they'd been communist for 78 years. The next day, they weren't. So he made it like a sort of lack, a loss of identity. From communist, there were communists are very rigid, all very rigid rules, and in a way, for some people, that works very well. They know how much they're getting in their pension, they know this, they know that, and all the rest of it. And so, it's really an interesting, it's really a really interesting whole story, and it was based upon this man, Chikatilo, who murdered over 100 people, mostly children. He was a cannibal and a pedophile. The scum of the earth. And that's what I had to play. And my wife arrived and announced she was pregnant. Great! Wow, let's celebrate. And yet I must say it was one of the most fascinating parts that I've ever played. And I played it in the opposite way to the way I usually work. I usually work inside out. Emotion, physical character. This way, physique, emotion. So the look and the movement is to the fore, and then the emotion follows. So it was, and that's the only time I've ever done that. That's the way the great Laurence Olivier used to work. He always used to say, I always look for the, putty nose that I can wear. And that's what he did first. And it's just a different way of working. And it was fascinating, changing pace.
Everyone, give it up.